Hey there, welcome back to Mixing Coach. So, in the last video, I answered a question about grot boxes. Now, grot boxes, if you haven't watched that, it's just basically something you use to check what your mix is going to sound like on a crappy system. So something like an Auratone. But I kind of didn't answer the second part of the question, so I'm going to do that today. And that is, what do I think about checking for mono compatibility? So typically when you're using a grot box, it would actually be like one mono Auratone to check in mono. So here we go. What do we think? Well, I guess we should really ask why this is a problem. It's basically what happens is if you have a big wide stereo source, whether it's something coming out of like a keyboard or maybe some big heavy metal double track guitars and they're super in phase and well done, when your mix is played in mono, what happens is these great amazing sounding stereo sources drastically drop in level, or in some cases, if the phase is super good, almost disappear. And you'll find this happens a lot. Now, why is this a problem? Well, back in the day, there were lots of things which your music might be played on, which was mono. Everything, from like a laptop, that'd be mono, and even a lot of crappy stereo things might be mono, a radio in your kitchen, let's say. But today, there's less and less of these things. Even my iPhone, which is like 3 models ago, is now stereo. So it's kind of becoming less of a concern, but we should still be mindful of it because, like I said, if it does end up in mono, you could end up looking really embarrassed. So this mix here has a bunch of guitars in it, and none of them are panned wider than about 50%. Now this means they're not as wide as they could be, but it means that if we do ever end up in mono, you're still going to be able to hear them. And I have a handy dandy button on my monitor controller which I press to check. Now you might not have a mono button, and if you do with your interface, it might well be hidden in some creepy software menu. So I have a gift for you today, and that gift is, you got it, a free plugin. So this is from Boz Digital, who are really quirky guys, and they make some amazing stuff. And this is in fact a freebie, and it's basically called Panipulator, and it allows you to check your mix in mono, as well as a few other cool things like something which is very similar to a grot box simulator, a filter which cuts off all of the highs and all of the lows and allows you to really hear just the crappy mid-range. So grab a copy, and what we're going to do is I'm going to play you a mix I'm working on, and I'm going to swap to mono, and you can hear what happens when your mix goes to mono, and we use this plugin to check. So here we go. So I hope that was pretty obvious that you could hear the difference. You definitely did hear the guitars, especially one of the guitars, come down quite a lot, and you heard a fairly big change in the overheads. So that goes to show you it's just as well I was a little bit cautious about what was happening with those guitars. So it would still stand a chance of sounding good in mono. Now, final thought, what do I think? I think at this day and age, people love this big wide stereo thing, and it's not going away. And I think that less and less sources are mono. And realistically, unless you're dealing with one of these kind of Bluetooth speakers which people take around, or maybe one of these kind of things like a low-end Sonos, that will also fold your mix down to mono. So you do have to be careful. There are still things which can ruin your day. But honestly, it's less and less of a concern than it used to be. But by all means, grab this plugin or use your mono button if you have one on your interface, just to be sure, and maybe try and find some middle ground so your mix will sound good all the time on whatever it's played. So I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment and feel free to ask any questions you would like me to answer in future episodes in the comments below. And until I see you again, happy mixing, guys. Take care of yourselves.